is a songwriters cooperative focused on promoting and assisting original songwriters with technology, technique, and platforms for performing.
That's right. Besides the weekly live stream on Wednesday evenings from 7 to 10, we also host educational and informational events to help performers understand the technology and techniques for better performances.
And if you're not a performer, you can still help support the Voice in the Pen in a number of ways. We can always use volunteers to help set up events, street crew to get the word out, and we always appreciate your marketing and advertising and sponsorship dollars.
We can use financial support to pay for projects such as our local music CD collection and artist honorariums.
And if you're a small business owner or a corporate representative interested in supporting original music and area songwriters, please reach out through any of our social media profiles or on our website at voiceinthepen.com. We can help you get your message out to a community of people known for supporting local businesses and the businesses that support local artists.
We'll be streaming some great music again in a few minutes.
In the meantime, please thank our sponsors for their support. It doesn't cost a dime to give them a call or a shout out on social media, and it lets them know that their support is deeply appreciated.
Thanks for tuning in and have a musical day.
Folks, you must visit Angie's Fresh Produce, 4447 Long Beach Road, Southport. Beautiful fresh produce at a great price. Angie's has just about every vegetable you want. In-store shopping and pickup, and all wheelchair accessible. Call Angie's Fresh Produce at 910-477-9068.
Hey, I'm Yael Osowski.
And I'm David Clement.
We're the host of Consumer Choice Radio, broadcasting every Saturday at 10 a.m. here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM.
Consumer Choice Radio is a weekly conversation featuring the latest news, interviews, and expert analysis that covers consumer topics from around the world.
ConsumerChoiceRadio.com.
Oh no, our roof is leaking and hurricane season is right around the corner. Don't let a leaky roof keep you up at night. Protect your home. Call Best Choice Roofing to schedule your free, yes, absolutely free roof inspection. Best Choice Roofing works with insurance or can repair the roof before the next storm, whether it's a full replacement or a repair. Choose the best. Call Best Choice Roofing at 910-228-5000 or go to bestchoiceroofing.com to book your appointment today.
Teachers and parents, the North Carolina Symphony is here to support you as you carry on the education of your children and students. Take your kids on a free virtual field trip to the Symphony with a virtual education concert and companion student book. Go on a virtual journey to learn what makes music music with music by William Grant Still, Beethoven, Brahms, and more. Access the free video and student book with password 1932 at ncsymphony.org/virtual.
The left has hijacked our media, our culture, and our schools. Your children are taught to hate America. Your speech is censored. Your employer is woke, and you are being called racist. That's why I wrote a book showing you how to keep the left from dominating your life. The book is called Rules for Anti-Radicals, a practical handbook for defeating leftism. And it draws from my 28 years of grassroots leadership by empowering conservatives too often bullied into silence by the left. It's a comprehensive guide to beating leftism not only in politics, but in daily life. And it's not just for dedicated conservative activists, but also for anyone sick of getting beaten down by the woke mob. Whether it's your job, your school board, or your neighbors, you can win against woke. Get Rules for Anti-Radicals from Amazon or at rulesforantiradicals.com/radio. That's rulesforantiradicals.com/radio.
1, 2, 3.
All righty, welcome back to Living Fed After 50. It's Friday. We are live on the Big Talker app. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live everywhere. So TGIF.
It is.
It is. It's
And
this
we're
week
live
has flown by. I
everywhere.
have to tell you, I had a great week. Just an awesome week of training at the studio. People this morning, they got me juiced. They were all happy. They were calling me names, which every trainer likes. Just a great day, great week. And now it's going to get even better. That's the best part. I've been looking forward to this show for weeks now. Weeks. But just to quickly do some quick business, hey, if you're listening to us on the Big Talker, you already have the app. But if you're not, you need to go get that app. So the Big Talker app, which is available on Google Play and Apple, go get it. That way you can listen to not just our fine program, but the other one I do on Tuesday nights called All Things Brunswick. Plus, I guest star, not host, guest star on Wednesdays with our producer, TK, on his show, which is The Asylum. So you get even more of me, but not so much of Lori. But you got to get the app to do that. And as always, guys, we are live, as we said, on YouTube and Facebook. Feel free to ask questions. Jump into the chats on them. Ask any question you have. We will do our best to answer it. You can also call into the show. I'm going to see if I get the number right for once. Lori's laughing already. 910-444-0281. Number's up on the screen also. All right, let's get into the good stuff. So I want to start this out before I throw it to Lori to say that we are truly honored with our guest today, and what he's going to talk about. Really, guys, you really need to listen to this. I met Greg probably 6-7 years ago. He is one of my heroes, and I'm not saying that because he's listening in right now. He genuinely is. So I'm going to throw it to Lori. Lori, why don't you introduce our amazing guest?
All right. So today we have Greg Justice with us. We are super excited. Greg is a Hall of Fame trainer and author. So Greg, we welcome you here today. Welcome. And before we get started, where are you today, Greg?
Well, today, when at first when I heard TGIF, I thought, first of all, wait, today's Thursday, so I'm a day off. But it is indeed Friday, and I am in Tampa, Florida, as far as I know.
As far as you know. Yeah,
when
you
I woke up
all over.
But more importantly, I'm honored to be right here on this show with the two of you.
Well,
we're glad you're here. What are you doing in Tampa, Florida?
Well, this is one of my 3 companies called Endless Rope, and it is a piece of fitness equipment that is a scalable rope climbing machine that allows you to go from 3 pounds of resistance climbing a rope all the way up to supporting your entire body weight. And so we are at the United States Gymnastics Championships here in Tampa, and one of our athletes, actually Brody Malone, is one of our partners in the business, and he's also the top male gymnast in the country as well. And he just represented the United States at the Olympics last year. And so it's an honor to be with him here. And we're just promoting and selling our Endless Rope.
That's great. I did see the post on Facebook about you being in Tampa and with Brody, so I figured I'd throw it out there, which is
that.
great. My pleasure.
It's great to be here in Tampa.
We are glad that you are here with us. So we do have some questions for us.
For us or for him?
Oh, for him.
There's Lori go.
Yeah, there I go. So yeah.
You're gonna go or you? Let me start. Can I jump in?
Huh?
Can I jump in for a second?
If you must.
I know you want. We're so excited to talk to Greg, but one of the things that the reasons we have Greg on is, one, I want to get as many pearls of wisdom out of him as I can because he is a Hall of Fame trainer. But really, he just released a new book that he co-authored with LaLanne called Pride and Discipline, The Legacy of Jack LaLanne. And as I've started reading the book, I'm not completely through it, I'll be honest with it, but it's a book you want to read, even if you're not into training. The wisdom that Jack LaLanne had, that Elaine and Greg share, can be applied to anything in life. I truly believe that. And I want to start, before we get too much further, with a quote that's right in the beginning of the book, because I believe this to my core, and it really hit me between the eyes, even though I've said it for years, which is, and this is a quoting Jack LaLanne, people have to take responsibility for themselves and do something about it. They have to have pride and discipline. If you have these 2 elements, you won't fail in life's endeavors. Truer words have never been spoken, written, or whatever you want to say. What do you think about that, Greg?
Oh, indeed. And that's where the name of the book came from, Pride and Discipline, because Jack always talked about having pride and discipline in the way you present yourself in an everyday life. And, truly, he was an amazing mentor, and he practiced what he preached. And I, as a mentee, along with a lot of the others coming from the late 70s and early 80s into the fitness industry, it was put upon us to pass on his legacy, and that's what he would tell his mentees. He didn't want credit for things. He was never about getting credit. All he would say is, "Whatever you have learned from me, pass it on." And so that's what I am doing through this book. And then there's a story which I'll share at some point during the interview about the book. But I'm just trying to pass on everything that I learned from Jack. And I first met him when I was an 8-year-old child in Eastern Kentucky, sitting on a sofa, being, home from school because of strep throat, turning the TV on as an 8-year-old young man and seeing this guy working out. And I must say, at that moment, that's a defining moment in my life, because as an 8-year-old young boy, I can just remember the impact that seeing him doing what he was doing. Again, I didn't understand what it would lead to in my life and career, but I can look at that at this moment in time and understand the impact that it had and what it led, for the rest of my life.
Wow.
That's great.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking about when I was first, I've never met Jack personally, but I was introduced to him. It was either Merv Griffin or Mike Douglas, one of those talk shows that used to be on in the afternoons. And I remember vividly myself, and I'm guessing 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 years old, somewhere in there in the early 70s. And Jack came on and he was wearing a yellow jumpsuit, I think it was. And I remember watching that. And I was a young child. I wasn't into fitness per se at that point, but to this day, I remember that. And I remember him doing push-ups and various things. And maybe subconsciously, he had the same effect on me. I know in my case, my heroes were Schwarzenegger for lifting, but Richard Simmons and all them. And they were mentees of Jack. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. In fact, you'll find that a lot of the folks that came out of the 70s and 80s that, burst onto the fitness scene, virtually every one of them came through the Jack LaLanne legacy, including the Tony Hortons and the Jake Steinfelds and the Tony Littles, Denise Austin, Kathy Smith, all of those names that really burst on the scene in the 80s. Came through the Jack system, so to speak. And, so much of what the industry has now, starting with a lot of the equipment that Jack invented and never got a single patent. And, we're talking about the Smith machine, which he called the squat machine, the leg extension, the leg curl. Jack invented the resistance band. Every single trainer now uses resistance band training. He's just responsible for so much in the industry. And I just think it's important for our industry not to forget from where we came. And really, this book is about ground zero of the industry. And that includes his wife, Elaine, who we call Lala. So Elaine, Lala, LaLanne. Those two were the power couple of the fitness industry. And we refer to Elaine as the first lady of fitness. And she, at 96 and a half years of age, as we sit here today, is still as remarkable as she was the first time I met her. And her mind is just absolutely 100% there. She's still doing push-ups and is just, is inspiring. And I want to be just like her when I grow up.
Well, maybe we can become the second lady. Lori could be the second lady.
I don't think I could compete with LaLanne.
We will never be able to accomplish what they have, but we can certainly dream, can't we? So let's talk a little bit about the book, just in general. Like you've kind of described why you wrote it, but what do you think are some of the most important points that are in the book that our listeners would really want to hear about?
Well, I'm gonna roll back even to the impetus, the very beginning, the genesis of the project, and it really started about 13 years ago in my mind, and part of this because Jack was really one of the first people that talked about mindset. He called it mind power, and now we kind of term it mindset. But for my 49th birthday. So again, about 13 years ago, Jack sent me a lovely personal note wishing me a happy 49th birthday and wishing me 49 more. And that really touched me. It was an emotional time because, I just was so appreciative of my mentor, somebody who I knew was a busy man and always on the go, to take the time to remember me and think about me and wish me a happy birthday. And I can remember at that time setting an intention. And, it's the power of manifestation, because I set an intention to do something. And again, I didn't know how it would manifest, to honor him, to further his legacy on a very large scale. And again, I didn't know what it looked like at the time. Roll the clock forward 10 years or so. And it was at that time I thought I need to reach out to LaLanne because she and I had been friends. And again, she's an inspiring figure herself. And I reached out and I said, LaLanne, I really have this on my heart that I really feel like we need to do something for the next generation of coaches and trainers to remember what Jack brought and did for this industry. And I do a lot of speaking for the fitness industry. And I can remember there's a section in one of my speeches where I talk about legacy and, leaving a legacy, a positive legacy of change. And I would always mention Jack's name and his legacy. And I would look out into the audience and I could see that about half of the people I was talking to had no clue who I was talking about. And that bothered me because Jack LaLanne is fitness royalty. He is ground zero of this industry that we call the fitness industry today. And, virtually all the equipment in every gym you can see around the world has Jack's thumbprint on it at some point. And so it always bothered me. And so I could start seeing the manifestation of that intention that I set several years earlier. And when I reached out to LaLanne, she was thrilled to be able to do that because she likes to say that all she wants as she passes on into the next part of her journey is to see that Jack got the credit or gets the credit for what he brought to the industry. And so through this book, through Pride and Discipline, the legacy of Jack LaLanne, we are able to go through the history of the fitness industry, so to speak, where he in 1936 opened the first modern health spa in Oakland. And he was and I want you to think about this for a second, a 21-year-old man in 1936 opening the world's first modern day health spa. And, the guts that it would take and the fortitude and then the mental power to do something like that when doctors and other health professionals called him a nut and they called him a charlatan and a quack. And one of my favorite quotes of Jack's is, back then they called me a quack and a charlatan, and now they call me the authority. And so, he brought along the health and fitness world, the medical industry, and taught them what they could learn from him and what health and fitness can do. And so, I just wanted to make sure that the next generation, the people that I would talk to, the coaches, the trainers that didn't know the name Jack LaLanne, that they would remember the name. And going forward, I want everybody in the industry to know what Jack did for us, because without Jack's mentorship, 50 years after he opened the first modern health spa, I opened Kansas City's original personal fitness training center in May of 1986. So literally a half a century later, I was able to do something because of what he was strong enough in the mind, body, and spirit to do as a 21-year-old man.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, we talked about the book a little bit and Jack LaLanne and his impact. So before we go into our break, what about you, Greg Justice? Why don't you tell the world who you are?
Well,
wow.
I am a mentee of Jack LaLanne, and virtually everything that I teach comes from his philosophy. I opened Kansas City's original personal fitness training center in May of 1986, and it was partially spurred on through another one of Jack's mentees, Jake Steinfeld. I bought a 25-cent book called Body by Jake at a church garage sale and started to read about this guy, Jake Steinfeld, who opened pretty much one of the first Hollywood personal training businesses and was training Steven Spielberg and Harrison Ford and all these amazing celebrities. And I learned from him that a business like this could exist. Now, I knew that I couldn't charge what he was charging, which was something like $250 a half hour in the 1980s. But I could scale it back to a conservative market in the Midwest and make a living. And I have made a living beyond my wildest dreams for the past almost 40 years now, and just feel nothing but blessed to be in this amazing industry.
That's great.
You are impacting so many lives because you're continuing on what Jack does or did, which is you are mentoring others and spreading the word. Because let's be honest, Jack essentially invented what we do as a career. He invented not just the gyms, but I think about he was on TV when TV first came around. I don't know the exact year his show started, but in the 50s. 51. So he was doing, I believe, 5 days a week for 10, 12 years, if I remember correctly. Well, he invented that as well. Oh, he did the show for 34 years straight? Oh, I didn't know that.
So the first 8 years, 1951 through 1959, they were local in Oakland. And then they moved and started the national, syndicated show in 1959. And it aired from 1951 all the way to 1984. 34 years. And, virtual training is very popular these days and really became, exploded overnight when COVID hit. But what people don't understand is Jack LaLanne was the first true virtual trainer back in 1951, where he was able to share his message of fitness and wellness with the world.
Excellent. All right. On that note, I think this is a good time to go to break. What do you think?
I think it's a fabulous idea.
So TK, kind of springing it on you, but it's a perfect time. We'll take a little break, pay some bills, and then we'll be back with Greg Justice.
How far would you go if you had a group of strong, amazing people who support, motivate, and inspire one another to achieve their fitness goals and dreams? At Full Circle Fitness, we aren't just a place to work out. We're a community of amazing people who work together to reclaim our bodies and do things we thought we'd never be able to do again. Ready to set your fears aside and stop making excuses? Call today, Full Circle Fitness, 910-399-8350, or visit FullCircleFitnessNC.com.
Oh no, our roof is leaking and hurricane season is right around the corner. Don't let a leaky roof keep you up at night. Protect your home. Call Best Choice Roofing to schedule your free, yes, absolutely free roof inspection. Best Choice Roofing works with insurance or can repair the roof before the next storm, whether it's a full replacement or a repair. Choose the best. Call Best Choice Roofing at 910-228-5000 or go to bestchoiceroofing.com to book your appointment today.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you or a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
The Boiling Spring Lakes Motel, located at 2 North Shore, is a peaceful and convenient place to stay. Newly renovated rooms with a comfortable back porch welcomes everyone. Discount rates are available to those who might need more time. Close to the beach, everything you need for a fun vacation. Call Stephanie at 910-845-2893. Boiling Spring Lakes Motel.
Hey, I'm Yael Osowski.
And I'm David Clement.
We're the host of Consumer Choice Radio, broadcasting every Saturday at 10 a.m. here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM.
Consumer Choice Radio is a weekly conversation featuring the latest news, interviews, and expert analysis that covers consumer topics from around the world.
ConsumerChoiceRadio.com.
If you're enjoying the content you find on Big Talker, any of your shows, all the hosts, you really need to make sure you're following and liking us on Facebook. There's a video section. You can watch all the live video of programs as they happen. You can also see video of past content that you may have missed for whatever reason. Plus, even better, you can share it with a friend. Let other people know how much you enjoy the Big Talker and the great content we provide, and interact with other listeners and the hosts in the comment section live as it happens. Big Talker Net on Facebook.
And we are back to Living Fit After 50 with our guest, Greg Justice. Before we continue on the conversation, don't forget you can call in and ask questions. The number is 910-444-0281. Hey, I'm getting good at that. First couple of weeks I blew it.
Until we change it.
And also a reminder, you can check out our webpage, livingfitafter50.com. We have prior shows on there. Lots of good stuff coming. We got some new programs we're going to be sharing on there. So jump on over to livingfitafter50.com. And we are back. So I'll let Lori jump in here.
All right. So if you're just joining us, you missed a great first part. You'll have to go back to that.
You can go back and watch the replay.
You'll have to. But just to recap, we do have Greg Justice here, Hall of Fame trainer and author of Pride and Discipline, The Legacy of Jack LaLanne. He is donning a black Jack LaLanne jumpsuit on. You can only see the top part. Just kidding. All right. So, Greg, just a few more questions for you, and then we'll go back to a couple of questions with the book. You have been a trainer now for 5 decades. So what do you think the biggest change in training philosophy is at this time?
Yeah, well, I can tell you when I started in the late 70s, early 80s, there was a big divide. You know, this industry of aerobics was really starting to come onto the scene, and then you had bodybuilding on the other end of it, but both were in the fitness realm, right? Well, what happened over the course of the next many years is those two worlds started to collide. Back in the early 80s, they would always tell you, don't do weight training and cardio work together. You know, it's like they should never cross pollinate. But instinctively, because of what I had learned from Jack in my own athletic career, it didn't make sense to me to separate them like that. You know, Jack was a big proponent of doing weight training with short rest intervals in between to keep the heart rate up so you could benefit from the strength training elements of it and grow muscles while burning fat and getting your heart in shape. And, you know, I like to call that metabolic resistance training. But it just made sense to me. So I have always, through my entire career, I come from a wrestling and judo background, which is basically metabolic training with somebody else trying to hurt you while you're trying to hurt them. So, you know, you're resisting force, and your heart and, you know, your lungs are burning and your muscles are working. And so it just made sense to me to train that way. And I just felt you got an overall better fitness level from that. So I never bought into that separate the two worlds. And the industry really started to merge from the weight training or the bodybuilding world and the aerobics world. And now you're seeing a lot of that. That's the evolution of fitness and what Jack preached from day one. And what was also interesting is how inclusive a program like this can be to all, to men, to women, to the young and to the old. And I know this show is primarily about fitness over 50, and how much vitality we can gain from starting when we're young. But even if we don't, and we start when we are 50, how much vitality we can gain from adding the weight training with short rest periods in to gain that heart conditioning and the muscle conditioning. So, philosophically, that's what I got from Jack. That's what I've always preached. And I've watched the industry grow because those two worlds of weightlifting and aerobics started to fuse and really take off to benefit the population.
Yeah, one of the things that amazes me is people are always looking for the newest fad, the latest and greatest thing to go do as exercise. And yet, when you really look at it, and again, tying it back to Jack, we were talking about off air before we came on, I've been watching a few of Jack's old shows from the 50s, and what's new is old, right? That what we're thinking we're inventing now, Jack was doing 50, 60, 70 years ago. The basics are there for a reason because they work. And as you said earlier, Jack invented a lot of this stuff, definitely was a proponent of it. And it just amazes me how everybody's looking for the newest thing, but what's tried and true is tried and true for a reason. What do you think, like someone in their 50s as a trainer, as a Hall of Fame trainer, no doubt, what do you think should be the primary focus for someone maybe who's not been working out, looking to just get a little bit healthier, less aches and pains, that type of thing? What would be your general philosophy? And also, what would Jack's be?
Well, movement, getting blood flowing. One of the cool things about doing this project is that we found a treasure trove of articles that Jack had written for a national publication whose publisher died before his work had ever got published. So LaLanne pulled those out of the vault, and we actually put those in Pride and Discipline. So there's some articles and writings of Jack's from 50 plus years ago that we have put into the book. And if you read them today, you would think they were just written last week. They're still so relevant. One of them talks about blood flow and how movement generates blood flow and how blood flow is life. So what I would tell you is, going all the way again back to Jack, is that get up and move, because whether it's just walking, and it can be a short or a long walk, whatever you can do, start where you are. And, just as we, as trainers, we have to meet our clients where they are, because some of them emotionally are struggling, physically are struggling. We have to listen. Hearing and listening are different. You can hear something without really, getting it. But if you are listening to what they're saying, sometimes it's through their body language. Then you can start to really incorporate what they really need into a program, rather than just a cookie cutter program. So it starts with listening to your clients, understanding where they are, and being able to meet them at that very point in time, and just get them moving, getting the blood flow through the body, because blood flow, circulation is life. So I would say just start at the very basics of getting circulation going through the body, and baby steps. If you notice on a lot of those shows that you were talking about, Jack used water bottles. He used the simple everyday books for weights. It doesn't have to be, something made of metal that has number 5 or 10 or 100 on it. It can be something that just is a little bit of resistance, and then using the muscles the way they were intended to move, with basic flexion and extension. I think sometimes we try to overthink something that is so simple, and movement is simple. So that would be just going back to the very basics of simple movement, which will then generate blood flow, which is circulation, which is life.
Yeah, one of the things that struck me when I was watching one of his shows is he was doing a sit to stand, a simple sit to stand, and with knees pressed together, basically a chair squat. But the way he was describing it, and he was making it so simple in his explanation, and the why behind doing it, which is a thing a lot of trainers don't do. That's something I try and focus on is we're not just doing this exercise because there's an exercise to be done. Here's why we're doing it. And that's one of the strengths I think that he had. And I think indirectly or directly, it's affected me. And such a simple movement, as a sit to stand impacts so many people. And he was saying, don't rock forward. I mean, he was giving every cue that I've ever given. It just speaks to, again, as I said earlier, what's old is tried and true. And Jack was a master, I think, at explaining it to the average person. Would you agree with that?
Communication. Yeah, well, communication is, again, something that you would think on paper is very simple, but a lot of people have a hard time connecting. And connection is part of communication. And it's not just the verbal part of it, but it's that visual and seeing how people are reacting. And Jack had that gift of being able to connect with people. And, it's a gift that I think that sometimes you're just born with. Sometimes, you can work toward that. But he was just a gifted young man and grew into a gifted old man and shared those gifts with the world. Of communication and being able to resonate. Not only did he start the first gym, the first modern day health club, but he was the first to work with women and weights. He was the first to work with athletes and weights. He was the first to work with the disabled and weights. So, he was all about inclusivity. He didn't care whether you were short or tall, a man or a woman, black or white. It was all about the mission of helping people help themselves. That was his mission in those words, to help people help themselves through exercise and nutrition. A very simple message, and one that now I have taken on to further to help others. And again, it's so simple that sometimes we overthink things. But, like you were talking about, sitting down and standing up, we had to name it the squat, but it's sitting down and standing up, basically. And you can do a lot of different versions of it, but it's sitting down and standing up.
Well, it's funny that you use that as an example, because when I was going to physical therapy for my knee, that's one of the rehab exercises that we had to do, a sit to stand. And as people age and they have maybe, hip surgery or whatever, that is one thing, because it's a functional exercise. You have to sit down and you have to stand up. So to be able to do it correctly without rocking, and it's funny that Jack LaLanne did that way back when, and here therapists are thinking it's the greatest and latest.
I think they invented it in many cases.
Yeah, it's been around forever. But when you look back at watching some of his shows, a lot of it is functional exercise, and it's stuff that we need to use and do every single day. And if you don't use it, you're going to lose it.
Yep. It goes back to the circulation. When you move, you circulate blood.
Exactly.
Circulation is life. Yeah.
Exactly.
And again, it doesn't have to be overly complicated.
Right, exactly. And like you touched upon with the exercise equipment at home, it doesn't have to be a weight with a 5, a 10, or a 100 on it. A metal frying pan or cast iron somebody was using when during COVID. I think a lot of people at that point were able to get creative with finding something in their home that they can work out with, because you can. Right. And even looking at all the videos that Jack has done, especially in the 50s, this stuff wasn't out there. So body weight stuff. So I think his stuff was great to look at. What was his favorite exercise? Do you know offhand?
Well, it's funny because his name being Jack, and he was always very famous for doing the jumping jacks. That would be the show. And so I think, just because of that, he really popularized the jumping jacks. And so I think that would probably be right up at the top of the list. But he was also a world record holder in push-ups and pull-ups. And one of the records that he had, I want to say it was in 1945 on a television show, he went on and did 1,000 pull-ups and 1,000 push-ups in an hour and 21 minutes.
Wow.
I want you to just think about that for a moment and think how long it would take you to do 1,000 pull-ups and 1,000 push-ups. And I can just tell you, full disclosure here, it would take me a heck of a lot longer than that, perhaps over the course of days, not an hour and 21 minutes to match that feat. But again, that was another, he was, I believe, 1945 when he did that one. But also if you look at some of the feats of strength and endurance that he did after the age of 50, it really makes you shake your head, first of all, and then your jaw drops in amazement at some of the feats of strength and endurance. And again, this is not just after the age of 50, but well after the age of 50. He liked to do birthday milestone events.
Wow.
So, when he was 60 and 65 and 70, he started doing them when he was 40. But to top it off, when he was 70 years of age, so, those of you listening that are feeling old at 50, I want you to think about this. Add 20 years to that and think when you're 70 years of old, at 70 years of age. So Jack set out on a journey to swim 1.5 miles in the Long Beach Harbor with his hands handcuffed, his feet shackled, basically handcuffed as well, pulling 70 boats with 70 people, one person per boat, for 1.5 miles at age 70. Think about that. It really is mind-boggling, and that's part of what he would always talk about is that 6 inches between your ears, that mindset, and that's where it all begins, because you have to go to a different place up here within that 6 inches between your ears to be able to do something like that. I mean, it's one thing to swim 1.5 miles, first of all, in Long Beach Harbor, which is, you're battling cold water and current. It's not like you're getting in a pool swimming lap. But then you put on top of it, handcuffing yourself, shackling your feet, your ankles, and then pulling 70 boats with 70 people. It's almost one of those things, the first time you read it or hear it, you think, it's a joke, right? But it's not. It's not. And again, we show all those feats of strength of him doing after the age of 50 in the book. And I still marvel at that. And, again, I have been a fan of Jack for as long as I can remember. But when I think about some of those things, whether it be at age 30 or age 70, it just baffles the mind to think that you can go there up here and then your body take over and actually do it.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
And I think that a lot of people need to really look at that and understand that maybe you can't tow 70 boats through the ocean or a harbor. Maybe you can't, do 1,000 push-ups in an hour, but you can accomplish amazing things if you set your mind to it. It's really what it comes down to. It's the only limitations you have are the ones you place on yourself. It's why I know Greg talks about it when he talks with people. Lori and I talk about it when we talk to people. Is the only thing stopping you from being whatever you want to be is you. And when you take on a challenge like that, whatever the challenge might be, the feeling you get afterward, that's what it's about. And I use that in my own competitions that I've done. The training and all that, it's work. I freely admit it. But the amount of training Jack had to have done to be able to accomplish a feat like that, or he did the Alcatraz swim too, if I remember correctly.
He did. He did that when people told him that it was impossible to do.
He went and did it.
He did.
nothing is impossible if you set your mind to it. You may not be able to succeed to that level. I'll grant that, but it's amazing. Good time to take our second break. So I'll hand it off to TK, and then we'll be back to finish up with Greg.
Yep. Get ready, Greg. Are you nervous about joining a gym? Anxious about not being able to keep up with others in the fitness classes? Full Circle Fitness has your solution. We specialize in working with those just getting started on their fitness journey. Our coaches tailor each workout to you and your level of ability, so you don't have to worry about keeping up. There's no better opportunity to get started. Call today, Full Circle Fitness, 910-399-8350, or visit FullCircleFitnessNC.com.
Folks, you must visit Angie's Fresh Produce, 4447 Long Beach Road, Southport. Beautiful fresh produce at a great price. Angie's has just about every vegetable you want. In-store shopping and pickup, and all wheelchair accessible. Call Angie's Fresh Produce at 910-477-9068.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you or a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
Oh no, our roof is leaking and hurricane season is right around the corner. Don't let a leaky roof keep you up at night. Protect your home. Call Best Choice Roofing to schedule your free, yes, absolutely free roof inspection. Best Choice Roofing works with insurance or can repair the roof before the next storm, whether it's a full replacement or a repair. Choose the best. Call Best Choice Roofing at 910-228-5000 or go to bestchoiceroofing.com to book your appointment today.
This show is also sponsored by Dr. Tony Maglione. Dr. Tony is a cardiologist practicing in Wilmington. He accepts Medicare patients, and his office is located across the street from New Hanover Regional Medical Center at 2032 17th Street. The office number is 202-1071. Dr. Tony is an author whose last book is Rules for Conservative Patriots, and it can be purchased on Amazon. His website is www.drtonymag.com.
Wake up to Good Morning Carolina, weekdays at 5:30 a.m.
And Good Morning Carolina.
Fed After 50, and you can come join us on there. Our producer TK mentioned that we've had a couple of comments, and one in particular that have come in. So TK, what was the comment? The second one. Oh, and that was Karen, correct? Whichever one.
Yeah.
Karen, we'll be doing swimmers as exercises next week. All right, let me throw it back over to Lori. She's got a question.
I do. All right. So TK, that one picture of Greg on his crutches would be great to just post right now. So Greg, tell us about your ninja training.
Okay, well, so I always like to say, Jack was a big advocate of swimming. He loved swimming. And as much as he loves swimming, I hate swimming. So I always like to say, I don't like to swim, but I like to fly. And so I have taken up at the ripe young age of 59, about 3 years ago, I took up the sport of American Ninja Warrior training. And so I like to swing from the ceilings, right? And one day as I was swinging from the ceiling, I missed my catch point and came down and landed with my foot half on a mat and half off the mat, which blew the bottom of my tibia off. And a 10-foot fall has a way of doing that. And so I lost some cartilage, broke the bone at the bottom of the tibia, and I've got some really cool souvenirs from that now. Some screws that are holding it all together, and a lovely boot that I wear for just one more week. Ahead of schedule on my recovery, and everything is going really well.
Great.
But, you know, the way I look at it, sometimes when you play on the playground, you fall. And the key is just, you know, having a good positive mental outlook. Have not experienced any pain or discomfort. I've just had to back off a little bit on the training, but I can promise you this. The minute I get this boot off and I'm cleared by my doctor, the very first thing I will do is that movement that I broke my ankle on. And the reason for that is because, well, the reason for that, I think it's important not to live in fear, because that's a bad headspace to be in. And so I've already visualized, and again, I learned, you know, a lot of this from Jack. Had to visualize the things that he did, including the Alcatraz swim and the, you know, the 70 boat swim and all those things. He talked about the importance of actually seeing it before you do it, whether it be buying a piece of property and having a vision for it, or doing a feat of strength and endurance. And so I, in my head, have already envisioned not only doing the movement that I broke my ankle on, that's the very first thing I'm doing, just so I can get that behind me and out of the way and not let that, you know, live rent free in my head. But I've actually envisioned stepping up my training and doing things at even a higher level, because I know in my head I can. And so I think, you know, just let's eliminate the fear, go for that thing that, you know, that I did. I just messed up. I was tired. It just happens sometimes. That's life. But I've got so much to look forward to going forward, that it in no way will slow me down. So I'm excited and looking forward to it, because I've done it up here. I can see it, and I visualized it, and I'm ready to actually do it now.
So should we expect to see you on the show? Are you think you'll ever make?
That's where we're going. That's the intention.
I love it.
We can't wait.
So one of the questions that I wanted to ask is, and you can run with it how you wish, but what is your favorite, let's say, either saying or story about Jack? What is the one that Greg just looks at and goes, that's it right there?
Yeah, well, there's certainly one quote that stands above them all, that just because it is so important. I think it will speak to your audience too, of being over 50, because, you know, there is health, fitness, and there is fiscal or money fitness, right? And Jack used to always say, and this is my favorite quote, he would always say, your health account and your bank account are the same thing. The more you put in, the more you can take out. And that's just like as we age, and if we have done it right, over 50 and 60 and 70, that we have been able to put money away that we can start taking out for retirement, if that's what people choose to do. And our health account is the same way. And I'm living that now with this broken ankle, because I have put in a lot of deposits through the years through my health account. And that is now paying dividends as I'm going through this injury, because I am staying in shape through the endless rope, because I can do my cardio exercise with the endless rope. And so I'm still making deposits into my health account, even with the broken ankle. And, you know, my mind and my body are going to come together as soon as I get this boot off, and I will be able to draw from that health account. So yeah, your health account, your bank account, they're the same things. The more you put in, the more you can take out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's good.
So, Greg, how can people order your book?
It is available on Amazon, and just type in the search engine Pride and Discipline with that prompt. The book will come up either in digital, ebook, Kindle format, or the paperback. And we're just so excited. It is by far our biggest book ever through my publishing company. I own a publishing company called Scripter Publishing Group. And so we published that through my publishing company. And it is by far, by 20-fold, our biggest book ever, just because I think the message is so much broader than just health and fitness. It's just about life. And there's so much to learn through this book.
Absolutely.
I think I've bought every book you've ever written, Greg. And I know you actually, when we were at a couple conferences, I won a couple of times, you were giving them away. I encourage everyone to go download this book, buy all of Greg's books. I'll put links to the Amazon so that people can just, at the bottom of the show notes, and then they can just go over and get it, because it's an outstanding book. Why don't we...
if people other than us want to reach you, Greg Justice, what is the best way to reach you when you're not flying through the air or, at some competitions?
Well, directly through my website, which is gregjustice.com. And you can certainly connect with me there. And I would love to hear stories that you may have of overcoming obstacles and, prevailing and doing things to deposit into your health account. And I just love hearing from people about changing their lives through health and fitness.
That's great.
All right, so we've got a couple minutes left. I have a question that I want to ask. You've kind of already, I think, answered it, but maybe you can get a little bit more detail. But what is your favorite exercise, Greg, or way to exercise, and why?
Well, I do love resistance band training because it can go with you. I travel. In fact, I've got my little backpack here, and believe it or not, I've got my entire gym in this backpack, along with 4 days of clothes and a computer. I travel light, but I always travel with a resistance band because I can hook it into a door in my hotel room, and I can train anywhere with it. So pushing and pulling, squatting and running and all that stuff with the resistance band. So I would have to say that apparatus, that tool, I enjoy just because of how versatile it is, and it can go with me anywhere. Now, from a playing standpoint, when I get on the American Ninja Warrior courses, I love doing the salmon ladder. I don't know if people will know what that is, but it's basically doing a pull-up with a moving bar where you keep climbing higher while you're doing pull-ups, and then you work your way back down, and then you swing to another side and do that. So you're basically doing pull-ups. I love doing pull-ups, but I also love taking it to the next level and doing a pull-up and adding another component to it, which is a moving pull-up. Hopefully that answered your question.
Oh, it does. And I've looked at the salmon ladder. I've thought about the salmon ladder. I would love to try it, but I know I would get one shot at it, and that would be the end of it for me.
Gravity wins every time.
Gravity always will win on that. Yeah. So I mean, that I love hearing that, because you are not a 20-year-old man.
I'm not.
and it speaks to what I think our audience, the message we want our audience to have, which is age is just a number. You can do anything you want. Greg is a perfect example of that. He is a highly successful person, and yet he still challenges himself and wants to do amazing things, even things that I sit and shake my head at, my friend. But that's okay, right?
So it's just finding things that have fun. Have fun with it.
That's
right. Exercise doesn't have to be boring. It can be fun.
Yes.
All right, let's throw it for another final break, and then we'll come back and wrap things up.
Are you nervous about joining a gym? Anxious about not being able to keep up with others in the fitness classes? Full Circle Fitness has your solution. We specialize in working with those just getting started on their fitness journey. Our coaches tailor each workout to you and your level of ability, so you don't have to worry about keeping up. There's no better opportunity to get started. Call today, Full Circle Fitness, 910-399-8350, or visit FullCircleFitnessNC.com.
Folks, you must visit Angie's Fresh Produce. 4447 Long Beach Road, Southport. Beautiful fresh produce at a great price. Angie's has just about every vegetable you want. In-store shopping and pickup, and all wheelchair accessible. Call Angie's Fresh Produce at 910-477-9068.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you or a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
Oh no, our roof is leaking and hurricane season is right around the corner. Don't let a leaky roof keep you up at night. Protect your home. Call Best Choice Roofing to schedule your free, yes, absolutely free roof inspection. Best Choice Roofing works with insurance or can repair the roof before the next storm, whether it's a full replacement or a repair. Choose the best. Call Best Choice Roofing at 910-228-5000 or go to bestchoiceroofing.com to book your appointment today.
This show is also sponsored by Dr. Tony Maglione. Dr. Tony is a cardiologist practicing in Wilmington. He accepts Medicare patients, and his office is located across the street from New Hanover Regional Medical Center at 2032 17th Street. The office number is 202-1071. Dr. Tony is an author whose last book is Rules for Conservative Patriots, and it can be purchased on Amazon. His website is www.drtonymag.com.
Wake up to Good Morning Carolina, weekdays at 5:30 a.m.
And good morning, Carolina. It is a very busy news morning today. I'm Donna Gregory.
And I'm Jeff Rivenbark. We're glad you're starting your Tuesday with us.
Be prepared and ready to go for the day ahead.
For the time being, we are dry and quiet, but we are dealing with some patchy fog.
And catch up with the overnight news you need to know before heading out the door.
We'll have more details and more live coverage in just a few moments.
Get up early for Good Morning Carolina, weekdays at 5:30 a.m.
And we're back to Living Fit After 50. Wow, what an amazing show it's been. I cannot believe it is over already. We could go another 3 hours, I'm sure.
Yep.
Special thanks to our guest, Greg Justice. An amazing man, as I've said many times. And please go get that book, Pride and Discipline, The Legacy of Jack LaLanne. I have it. I've started reading it. As I said earlier, I'm about a third of the way through, and it's absolutely intriguing. And Greg hinted at this, and I think I did too. It's not just about health and fitness. It's about the way to look at life. It really, truly is. Let's talk about next week's show.
All right,
go ahead, Lori.
So next week we have Bjorn Mohagan on from Best Choice Roofing. He's going to talk to us about tips and tricks about hiring contractors for roof repairs.
An important thing here in southeastern North Carolina.
Probably anywhere. So we look at, how does that pertain to living fit after 50? I don't know. If my roof is leaking, I'm stressed and now I'm not healthy. So
there you go. Yeah, there's part of it, right?
I mean, it's a good way to get some questions answered for, home repairs.
Yeah, I mean, as part of this thing, when we're doing this show, it's not just about health and fitness per se. It's having a healthy life. And one of the things that we want to do is give information on various things that you can use to take some of the stress out of your life. And that's what Bjorn will be helping us with next week. Just a reminder again, if you're listening to us on Facebook or YouTube, please like and share it. The more that you do that, the more people they show it to, and it helps us spread the word about the show and helps us to help more people. Again, download the app, the Big Talker Network. We are primarily focused on southeastern North Carolina, but it is worldwide. You can be in Antarctica. If there's an internet connection, you can listen to the show. Don't forget our website, livingfitafter50.com. And just throwing it out there, we're on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. We're all over the place.
We are.
I think that's it.
It is. So thank you, Greg Justice, for joining us today. And until next week.
Until next week, everybody have an awesome week. Go out and enjoy life.
The Boiling Spring Lakes Motel, located at 2 North Shore, is a peaceful and convenient place to stay. Newly renovated
the
rooms
second,
with
dude.
a
I
comfortable
nailed it.
back porch welcomes
At the time we're
everyone.
watching it, and I went,
Discount rates are
boom, as soon as we
available to
finished, it
those
rolled
who
over.
might need more time.
Greg, you
Close
still with
to
us?
the beach, everything you
here.
need for a fun
Great.
vacation.
So thank you so
Call
much
Stephanie
for being with
at
us. We will get this up and link and tag you
910-845-2893.
and
Boiling
get the
Spring Lake
information